Hey guys, we got a new chapter here, chapter 10. This first section is talking about simplifying square roots, okay? And just to give you a little background, a square root, anytime we took a number and we said 3 to the second power, which is 3 times 3, right? That means 3 times 3. You're really going to get 9, right? Well, you remember how the opposite of add is subtract, the opposite of multiply is divide, right? Well, the opposite of squaring a number, like 3 squared, the opposite of that is to do the square root, okay? These two are opposite functions of each other, okay? So that's how you undo the other one, all right? So just to give you a little idea there, we've got over here the radicand. That's the number or the expression inside the symbol. So like 52, 27, 97, its proper term is called the radicand. Now to simplify these in example 1 using a calculator, all you got to do is on those red calculators, and if your calculator is a little different, you have to see one of us to maybe help you. Your first step is you're just going to hit second. I'm just going to write that here. You're going to want to hit the second and then the caret key, and you should see the little the square root symbol above that, and then you hit enter. Okay, that's all you've got to do there. So if you take the square root of 52, you should get 7.2. Alright, and letter B, if you take the square root of 27 in your calculator, I gotta find it on mine here. 27. Now mine, I gotta hit the number and then the square root symbol. I get 5.19, so 5.2. And if you take the square root of 97, should get 9.84, so we'll just say 9.8. Okay, that's pretty simple, just using a calculator. Like I say, if your calculator is a little different, just see one of us and we'll help you figure out how to use it. Okay, multiplying the radicals. This is really simple. Okay, all we're going to do is we're going to multiply the numbers underneath the radical symbol. Okay, so basically what this turns into is going to be radical 3 times 7 all in one group, which is going to equal radical 21. And that's it. That's all there is to it. On this next one, I would say radical 2 times 8, and we're going to get radical 16. Now, one thing we do want to point out is 16 is a perfect square. What's the square root of 16? It's 4. Basically, what number times himself gives you that answer? It would be 4, and we're going to talk about perfect squares coming up right now. So first, before I go on to example 3, I want to make a list over here off to the side. I recommend you do this maybe on the back of your paper or something, but just so that you can memorize, it's really going to be helpful for you to remember the perfect squares or to have this chart somewhere handy for you to use. So 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, as we just talked about, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared, 6 times 6, that's 36. 7 squared is 49. 8 squared, 64. 9 squared is 81. 10 squared, 10 times 10, I hope you all know that one's 100. 11 squared is 121. 12 squared is 144. 13 squared is 169. 14 squared, easy way to remember 13, 14, just swap the numbers. 196. And 15 squared is 225. I'm going to cut it off right there. Okay? Use this as a reference, okay? Something that you're going to continually go back to, and you'll see why here in just a little bit. So here's how I simplify these. There's 2 ways to go about it. I guess I can show you both ways. You can choose which one you like. The first one I'm going to show you is more foolproof. Okay, so basically we're going to want to split this radical apart. Okay, so it's going to be radical something times radical something. So what you do is you go over here to your perfect squares sheet. So what you want to do is you want to look, okay, we're dealing with 12. So we want to start with the biggest perfect without going over 12. So 16 is too big. So now you got to think 9. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, can we take 12 divided by 9 and get an even number? If you do it, you'll get a decimal, so that doesn't work. So you go down, and you keep working your way down until you find the biggest one. So we were at 9 there before I got interrupted, or 4. Now you can take 12 divided by 4. If you take 12 divided by 4, what do you get? Should get 3. So what you do is you say, okay, 4 was the biggest perfect square that goes into 12, and when we divided 12 by 4, okay, so we took 12, divided by 4, what did we get? We got 3. Okay, now my perfect square is 4, right? He's on the list over there. What's the square root of 4? If you're not sure, go back over here to the list and look. The square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so let's zip back over and zoom in. So in your answer, you're going to have 2. And then this radical 3, he can't be broken down anymore, so he just stays radical 3. Okay, so that's your final answer right there, is 2 radical 3. That's how you simplify it. Or you could do it this way. And I'll just do this off to the side right here. So here's way number 2. Pick any multiplication fact that makes 12. Let's say instead of using 4 and 3, we took 6 times 2. That's a common one we all know. Now, can you break down 6 again? Find me a fact of 6. You should say, yeah, 2 times 3, Mr. Brooks. Now, can you break down 2? This 2? Nope. Can you break down this 2? Nope. Can you break down this 3? No. Basically, they're all 3 prime numbers, meaning they can't be divided by anything besides 1 or themselves. So once you're down to having all prime numbers, these are the 3 guys, what you're looking for is, does anybody have a pair or a buddy? Basically, they're in jail, is how I like to think about it. And in order to get out of jail, you got to have a buddy. So 2, they've got a buddy, right? So that means you're going to pull out the number 2, and then you look, well, who's left? 3's left. He doesn't have a buddy, so he's got to stay in jail. So 2 radical 3. You could do the problem that way as well. Okay? So you got 2 choices. The first way I showed you is kind of foolproof in that you find, as long as you find the biggest perfect square, then you're okay. Alright? Okay, so 45. Again, let's do it the first way. So we're going to break it down by radical what times radical what. So what you do is go over to the list of perfect squares again. We're going to start, okay, 45 is the number, so there's 49. That's too big. Start at 36. So you take 45 divided by 36? Nope, you get a decimal. Can you divide it by 25? Nope. Can you divide it by 16? Well, I'm not sure, so maybe you want to check at it. Use your calculator if need be. Okay, I'm going to use mine. Pull it out here on my phone. So here, 45 divided by 16. Okay, nope, 2.8. 45 divided by 9? Yep, I get 5. So there's your biggest perfect square. Alright, so let's go back over to the problem. So it was 45, we divided by 9, and we got 5, right? So my biggest perfect square, and I always write the perfect square first, was 9. What's square root of 9? It's 3. And then the 5, he's just got to stay in there. 3 radical 5. Okay? Or, if you wanted to do it the other way, okay, I'll write it real small here to the side. If you liked my get out of jail, okay, again, you just got to think, 9 times 5 is a common fact that we know for 45. And then you think, okay, can I break down 9? Yep, it's 3 times 3. Can you break down 5 right here? No. So he's done, and you can't break down 3 anymore. Now notice, you got a pair, so they can get out of jail. So you pull that number out, and the 5 stays in. 3 radical 5. Same thing. Okay? And lastly, in this example, and for the lesson, 75. So we got square root of something times square root of something. Again, use this chart. I don't know what it is. I got to go over here and figure it out. We're going to start all the way up with 81's too big. He's bigger than 75. So start at 64. You can't divide it by 64. You can't divide it by 49 or 36. But 25, if you take 75 divided by 25, you're going to get 3. So there's your biggest perfect square that goes into 75. Okay, so we're going to say it was 25 times 5, right? Whoops, not times 5. Times 3. Because there's 3 quarters to make 75 cents, I'm pretty sure. Now the square root of 25 is 5. And you got the radical 3 left in there. 5 radical 3. Or, we'll scooch over here. Radical 75. You think, okay, I'm going to divide it by 5. Okay, so it's going to be 5 times 15, actually. Alright, 5 times 15. 5 you can't break down anymore, but 15 we could say, okay, well, it's 3 times 5, right? Now, who's your buddy? Do you have any buddies that can get out of jail? Yep. As long as you got 2 5s, you can pull out that 5, pull out that number, and you got the 3 left in jail. So 5 radical 3. It's the same thing. Okay. The one thing that reason why I don't like this way as much is, for example, if you've got a bigger number and you've got like a pair of 5s and say a pair of 2s that you can pull out, then you got to take the 5 times the 2, all right, and that would give you 10, and then you'd still be left with a number that's by himself. But we can get into that later. All right. Hopefully you understood. Hopefully you like one of the 2 ways I showed you. And if you have questions, make sure you contact your local educator. Do have a great rest of the day.